Thinking about returning to Africa, it's a big decision, a huge one. Some find peace and success with that decision. Others regret it deeply. So how can you make sure you are on the right path? Today, we'll discuss what you must consider, factors you must take into consideration before moving back home, and the crucial steps to take so you don't end up rushing back to the US or to any diaspora land you are going home from.
Welcome to Cash Talk for Immigrants. I'm Christine, and this is my beloved
Wachuku, Vidal Wachuku.
Returning home sounds exciting, right?
Yes, indeed.
We picture reconnecting with family, living simple life, eating fresh local food, But reality hits hard once you japada, as we say in Nigeria.
Once you return home.
Suddenly, all the reasons you left start flashing back.
Yes, indeed, because you left for some reasons. But let's face it, everything has changed since you left. How you see life now might make it challenging to feed back into the system because everybody has moved on. Nobody was waiting for you, So listen to Dapo on Web Nation Africa. Share his own experiences of heading home.
And I must say that it took me another 10 years to fully integrate back into the system. Yes.
Interesting.
Because obviously you're coming back with a certain mindset, thinking that you are advantaged.
Right.
But make no mistake, while you're there hustling and growing, nobody's stopping here.
Yeah.
People are also moving and growing.
When you return, people won't see you the same. You're now Americana. They weren't expected to solve problems, give handouts, and live up to big expectations. And if you have an American accent, you're seen as a walking dollar sign. Prices triple wherever you appear, or quadruple for that matter, and you feel taken advantage of.
You got dollars now.
Yeah. So here Dapo and Francis in their interview on Web Nation Africa.
There's a preconceived notion
that
anybody who leaves the country is automatically better off.
That's so true.
So even when you move back, people are not as willing to help you out as much as they would someone who didn't get the opportunity to leave or has been on ground with them all this while. They automatically think that you have it going on and everything is okay, and that usually is not the case.
No.
Sometimes all you have is just the experience that you've brought back that you're trying to add or apply, into the society to create or add value into the space. So that was one of the first things that I had to learn. And then secondly, of course, which stems from the first one is also, the trust issue. So sometimes I find myself dialing down the way I talk or,
just to fit in?
Yes.
And also, people can sense that I'm not from here. So immediately I was getting all this people follow me, ask me for money, ask me for this, trying to find ways to get me to do stuff, you know what I mean? And it just was a sensory overload, bro. Especially as an introvert, I'm not really, used to, and then I just was so shocked because I wasn't expecting to get that from, I watched some YouTube videos before I got here and of some diasporans that were saying stuff like that. And I was like, man, if you don't want to be there, you just go back. And I was like, damn. And I got here and I was like, oh shit, I see what they're saying. 'Cause, as soon as you get to the airport, you got somebody who's trying to take your bags and immediately he wants some money, right? Obviously, which is, I get that.
Yeah.
But then, you get to, my driver got there and, I got to put the suitcases in his car. But then somebody's trying to take the suitcases from it. Yeah. It's everybody who touches your suitcase in Ghana,
trying to make money.
You got to pay. It's if anybody touches your suitcase, they want, you know, a kind of a tip or whatnot. So I'm
Mami
like, okay.
kakra, that's how we say it. Give me small.
Small, right? Yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay. So I already kind of knew that because my family like had already told me.
Yeah.
But then when I get to Osu, I'm like, as soon as I step out of my hotel, I'm getting like crazy. I can't even walk down the street. You know what I'm saying? So
They could sense that you're not from
I'm
here.
not from there, right?
Yeah, maybe your outfit was hitting nice.
See, like it's crazy. It's not even that because I was conscious of that, so I only wore like this. I've been rocking white tees and like just basics, you know, the whole time. But it's just something about like, you know, how you walk, how you move, and I get it too because now that I've been here for some time, like I can see Americans like walking down the street, and I know like, okay, that person's American.
know.
Even when you set up a business, you still have to contend with a lousy work attitude, employees not being transparent, and so on and so forth. And if you have children, listen to Anna Chempong. She moved with her family to Ghana and ended up living again.
Heading back.
Okay.
But then I think Accra is not really ready for families. Like,
let's talk about it.
Accra needs city planning, infrastructure. There's so many things that makes it hard for you to live here with kids. Like if I'm just alone, if just my husband and I don't stress. It's okay sitting in traffic, but my kids, at some point we were taking out food to pick up my son from school, have him eat in the car, and then go to soccer practice.
There's no time because of
the
traffic.
Soccer practice was like the place to the soccer practice was just like 10 minutes. But sometimes he would sit in traffic for 1.5 hours and he would go like, oh no, I want to play ball, I want to play ball. So he would be so very frustrated. And then also I think my kids, because we come from a Western background, they're so used to having play dates.
Okay.
People here don't have time. They feel like I'm not going to sit in traffic just for kids to play, and I understand that. Yes, the normal private schools. Because we want them to be surrounded by Ghanaian kids. That was our aim. Okay. But unfortunately, the teaching there, academic-wise, is very good, but they still beat kids. They still shout at them. They were caning, and it was just too much for our kids. They couldn't handle that. Like they were so scared.
Really?
At one point
I thought they don't do that anymore.
I thought so too. And I talked with the school, like, please, can you stop it? And they said, oh, but we won't beat yours. Don't worry.
No, but you beat other kids.
That, it was so scary for them.
I understand.
So we took them out of that school and placed them in a high-end international school.
Okay.
But the high-end international school, academic-wise, is good. They don't cane them or nothing. Kids from the high-end international schools are very spoiled.
What do you mean spoiled? Let's talk about it.
Okay, I think this was also COVID time, right? Okay. So you weren't supposed to bring, you couldn't eat food from the canteen. So most of the kids will get like Burger King or KFC during lunch, and the driver will come and drop it at the door. Wow. I won't mind giving my kids KFC maybe once or twice a month, but definitely not every day. Not every day. And definitely not at school. Okay. So there was one point where my son would start saying that he will not eat the food that I sent with him because he wants to eat KFC because his classmates were also getting KFC. I think the best time to make the move to Ghana is if you have no kids or if you have young kids. Okay. So young kids can adapt to the system much more easily than my kids could. And if you come in with kids who are already schooled abroad, it will be very difficult for them to settle. Okay. So that will make your place of living limited to airport and East Legon, which are one of the prime areas in real estate now. So that comes with another cost.
High cost of living.
Yeah. So if you can come, like I said, with young kids or no kids
no
yet,
kids at all,
your kids can adjust. The schooling here is so good. Academic-wise, they're on top. Right. When I brought my kids back to the Netherlands, they even skipped a class because they were so far ahead. Really? Yes. The academic is excellent here.
It's good to hear that. That is odd.
Yeah, it is. What I feel Ghana lacks is thinking out of the box. Kids are made to study, but they are not really made to question. Okay. Like, my daughter's very good in math. And then sometimes in the first school I put her, the teacher would sometimes get something wrong. And she would say, I'm sorry, sir, this was not the answer. Okay. He would scream like, are you mad? This is the answer. What are you talking about? Yeah. So she was made to not speak up while she was thinking about something.
And this Ghana education system.
This is Ghana education system.
And anyway, the other issue there is security that you have to consider very carefully. Safety. I know everywhere is not necessarily safe, even in the US. It depends on where you are, time and chance and all that. But this is a factor you really want to ponder over very deeply before going. Because every time, for instance, when we call home to talk with people at home, my mother-in-law will always be talking about kidnappings, insecurity, and all the problems there. On one occasion, we visited home, and usually when we do, they will always tell, don't go here, don't go there, don't go there. On one occasion, I visited home. I wanted to go for a program that was in a zone that was considered unsafe. But I wanted to go, and she did everything to prevent me from going, but I went anyway, and here I am anyways. And another thing you want to consider, do you want to leave behind all the high walls and bars and fences? Consider that. Some are uncomfortable with that.
Yes. And basic things like good internet. Oh my, on my first visit back, I nearly pulled my hair out, waiting for a web page to load. A few weeks ago, a young Nigerian man was helping online, was like, wow, see how fast your internet is. And then talk of electricity. You need to consider a generator or a transformer. Water, think borehole. And roads, the buildings, let's hear from Anna again.
I think the first challenge that was just too much for anybody in our family is the way that they build here in Ghana.
Okay.
Like every other day there was a problem. Like if it's not plumbing from one toilet, maybe the lights will not be working in one room. And then when somebody comes and fixes the light, all of a sudden AC stopped working. So every day my husband had to fix one problem after another. And then if he's fixing a problem, it's not bad if you know that a person will come and fix it, does the job, and then you're done.
Exactly.
But no, he doesn't do the job. Another problem starts. So that's also where, because the house was so big, we couldn't maintain all the problems that will come in.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about the steps you must take before you go back. The Holy Books say that if you want to build a house, you have to plan, you have to consider the cost, sit down, figure the cost, and make sure you have enough to complete it. If you only lay the foundation and then run out of money, you end up looking foolish. So you don't want to do that. And that's why we insist it's important you do what? First, do your research.
What would you wish you knew before moving back in 2006?
I wish I had done a little bit more research on corporate Nigeria.
And how it works.
And how it works, yes. I thought I was going to come in and be the biggest and the baddest.
But it was different.
But I was quickly humbled.
Ask yourself, where do you want to live? Out in the middle of nowhere because land is cheaper there? Cheap land can be costly. What about getting electricity there? How will you get electricity there? Or building materials if the roads are bad? So you have to write down your non-negotiables. Is it constant electricity, good water, fast internet, good roads? And if you have kids, what's your plan for their schooling? All this will determine where and what you settle for.
Now, not thinking through all of this, that would be a recipe for regret if you don't. Some people end up rushing back, as we had said earlier on, because they didn't have a solid strategy. And guess what? They paid the price. Economic stability, as you know, is your lifeline. Without it, even if you have the best intentions, it can turn into a living nightmare.
Yes.
So that's something you have to consider before you go.
Exactly. And you need dollars, not just dreams. We hear, oh, there's no place like home. Our country needs us to return and rebuild. Sure, that's true. But sentiments won't pay the bills. Your transition will be 10 times harder if your finances aren't secure. Money gives you option to live wherever you choose.
And also, here's a pro tip. Before making a final decision, do an extended visit first. In fact, if possible, multiple extended visits. Don't just pack up and expect everything to be like you remember. No. Visiting will show you how much has changed. And if your nostalgia matches the current reality on ground. Have you got value so far? If so, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. This helps our channel grow and continue adding value to our community.
Yes. Now let's talk about this money you think you have. Is it residual income? Because here is the thing. Money has a funny way of disappearing right when you need it the most. $1 million isn't $1 million after you spend that first cent. Are you able to replace that cent each time?
That's a big question you need to consider. Mind you, we're not trying to discourage you from going home.
Yes.
We're just saying make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's before you do so. And then consider relocating expenses. Do you have enough saved? Yes. Do you have your own car and your own house? Make sure you have these before you go, or that you can acquire them upon arrival. And please do not send money back for someone else to build or invest on your behalf. Look at these clips from this side of life with Dear Caller.
Arrived here thinking I'm gonna get a house, in a 2-story building, and this is what I've got. What am I gonna do? After several 40-some years in America, and I've been saving all kinds of money just from building a house and sending it to. This is what I have. Y'all see that? The house sinking house. That's what this guy's got.
How we are to see people on your left and on your right saying, oh, I'm building in Lekki, in Lagos, for example. I'm building here and I'm building there, back in Ghana, Senegal, or wherever. You finally cave in to the pressure and you start looking into building a house back in your home country. To do that, first, you will have to face the hassle of getting land. And land purchase is not a joking matter in Africa. You have to make sure that the land that you get is legitimate land and has the right permits, the right papers, because there's so many stories about people buying land and thinking they got the land and they bought the land and it has been sold to multiple people. So yeah, you go through all that hassle and then you need to find a trustworthy person that will help you to manage the building of the house. Since you are far away abroad and you are not at home, you need somebody to oversee the project of building the house. And finding somebody trustworthy is a very tall order, and many people have been burnt. They send money home to build the house, like the lady in the clip, and people spend the money not doing what you sent the money home for, or not even building a house at all. And I remember for us, it was in the early 2000s when, if you know Lagos in Nigeria, when Mowe is just a community just outside Lagos, there was a kind of like a land rush over there. And everybody was saying, no, you need to buy land, you need to buy land. And yeah, we succumbed to the pressure and we went and bought land in Mowe. We paid the money, got the receipts and all that. Of course, we're not there, so we are doing this through third parties. And when it came to time to claim the land or see the land, behold, there was nothing. There was nothing to be found. There was no land, and we could not get our money back. And at the end of the day, the company that sold it to us actually went bankrupt and no longer exists today. So that's just one of the stories of the travails of building back home as an African immigrant.
Again, do you have solid investments in place? If you're not thriving in the US, what makes you think Africa will be different?
Yes, indeed.
Don't go back to look for a job if you're a young person.
No.
Go back to create jobs.
That's it. That's it. Listen, Africa has lots of opportunities. People go there and they make money, but you have to be prepared. Look at this home care center established by a diaspora.
This space is created by a lady from the diaspora or people from the diaspora who understand the needs of the diaspora and moving back from the US and other places around the globe to Ghana and currently living here. Most people came back for their retirement. And sometimes, not having a family member here is sometimes challenging. If you are sick or the elderly at your home is sick and you have to go to work, you can't just leave them alone. So you need to, find places like Terra Nova Homes where you can, sign up. They have nurses who are certified, also in CPR training, very friendly, who can take care of the elderly with passion, not just anyone just wanting to just do it for the money, but people who are, dedicated with their craft and everything.
Right. Having seen that, here's one, Michael, who returned to Nigeria after 16 years in Ireland. He now owns Jungle Food Company, an Irish African fusion business. Watch his journey.
I started this business 8 years ago.
8 years ago?
Yes.
Okay, did you start with the African infusion spicy or you started with the Irish?
No, what it is when I wanted to start this business, I looked into the Irish market, and there was a lot of Asian influence.
Okay.
There was, the Chinese, the Indian, the Italian, the Caribbean, which is also a little bit African, because African culture.
Yeah.
There was nothing really African, authentic African. So that was a light bulb moment for me. So I said, okay, why don't I create something different? Something that will actually add value to what is in the market already. And I came up with this. This is called Flavor Safari. It's Ireland's first African-inspired source drink. It's fusion, local Irish ingredient, African spices. And it's been amazing since then.
Interesting.
And even the jar are unique.
Yeah.
Most jars you see with sauces, they're different.
Yeah.
So I went to the as far as getting this totally different jar.
And what I like so far is the giraffe skin.
Yes, it's African connotation. All this sauce is designed to match the temperament of the beast. What we have here is mild tomato and herb.
Okay.
When you see a giraffe, what do you think? A giraffe is gentle, elegant, and moves slowly. So it's a mild animal.
I see.
Okay, and we also have spicy olive and tomato. When you think of zebra could be nice, but could be dangerous too, because it has a kick. That has a fantastic kick.
I see.
And you know what happens when you meet a leopard? You get big. That's really spicy.
As you see, those who go back prepared are thriving, but without a solid plan, it's a disaster waiting to happen. Jobs might be scarce, and the pay might not sustain you, even if you find one.
It might not sustain your standard of living, the standard of living that you are used to already. And what about your health? It's not like the US or England or wherever else you might be. If you fall sick, medical services are fragmented, sometimes miles apart, and a bit pricey too. Do you have the money to cover those expenses?
Yes. That brings us to a somewhat overlooked source of income that could make a huge difference for immigrants returning to Africa.
That could actually prepare you to return to Africa.
A source of cash that most of us either ignore or know nothing about. I'm talking about a cash value permanent life insurance policy. If you remember, we showed you a hypothetical case of Remy in one of our videos. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and click the link on your screen.
In that scenario, in that video that we showed, Remy had over $39,000 in cash value by the time she was just 35 years, after contributing to about $200 a month for over a period of 20 years. Now, this is apart from the coverage of $189,286 she had at that point in time when she was 35, right? Now, in addition to that, she has the ability to withdraw $32,000 from that account on a yearly basis from age 69 to age 93, 20-something years. But here's the kicker. Do you know her cash accumulation would have even been greater if she had contributed more? Because the more you put in, the more you get. So let's say she decided to move back to Africa at 35. That $39,000 could be life-changing enough to start a small business and set her up for success. No tax consequences, no need to rely on others. It's her money working for her future.
Yes. Now let's take it a step further. Imagine she has young children like Anna. The cash value in her policy could be the key to ensuring her kids attend the best schools without the constant financial strain. Instead of struggling to come up with school fees every term, Remy can use the flexibility of her policy to cover those expenses when she needs to, providing peace of mind and a solid foundation for her children's future.
But it doesn't stop there. Fast forward again to age 69, as I referenced earlier, when she's taking out over $32,000 every year as a steady stream of what? Supplemental income. That's money for her retirement. A retirement that's comfortable and stress-free, because her policy's growth, mirrored after the stock market, outpaced traditional savings. Even after moving back to Africa, you know what? Remy is financially secure, surviving and thriving because she planted the seed here before going.
Yes. Then let's talk about her family support. With this policy, Remi could focus on caring for her aging parents, helping her family without constantly worrying about medical costs. The policy provides her with a financial safety net, and on top of that, if anything happened to her, the death benefit will ensure her family is taken care of. It's not just about her, it's about generational security.
So true. And as you know, folks, life can throw unexpected curves at us. If Remi, for instance, were to fall critically or chronically ill, the cash value policy in that account will still have her back. She could access all or part of her cash value to cover all her medical expenses. So this is more than just a policy. It's peace of mind for every season of life.
Yes, it's for the living.
It's living insurance.
Yes. So if you're thinking about returning, a cash value policy is crucial. Start early, let it grow, and by the time you move back, it's there for you. But let me warn, approval isn't guaranteed. So get started early.
Now.
And if you need help, check the description for a link to book a one-on-one. As licensed financial professionals, we are here to guide you.
Now, folks, we also know that it is true that living abroad isn't always a bed of roses. You all know it. We all go through it here. We face the headaches, right? But it's important that we also take advantage of the opportunities available here before you consider going back home. I know people love to say, you must come back and help your country or invest in your continent. And yes, they are right. There's no place like home at the end of the day. But here's the hard truth. You are just one person. You are not the Holy Spirit. You don't have the magic wand on your hand. You are not the Messiah. You cannot single-handedly change an entire country. So remember that.
Yes, you're not even the chosen one.
You are not the chosen one, right?
Make sure you are fully established before you take on that challenge. Home is beautiful, but you must think long and hard before relocating. Life is hard no matter where you are. So choose your hard. And before you make the move, dot your I's and cross your T's.
Again.
This decision will impact the rest of your life. So plan wisely.
And to be able to do that, to be able to plan wisely, what are we saying again? You must have planted the seed in this country. You must have planted something to make money in this country before you go. That will still be making money while you are home. Watch our video right here to show you the fastest way to achieve your goals. Click on it and we'll see you there.